Hey Vegas, welcome back to Vegas Realty Check. This is the historic Vegas edition. Today we're going to take you inside of one of the most outrageous homes in the city that you have ever seen, the legendary house of Lonnie Hammargren. So think rocket ships on the roof, roller coasters in the yard, and enough weird stuff to make a museum jealous. He was a neurosurgeon, lieutenant governor, and collector of a bunch of wild things. So buckle up. Today we're going to take you through a bizarre Vegas journey in this historic Vegas episode. Welcome back, Vegas. Let's get right into news and numbers for the week. Tell you what's going on in the market. Courtney, good morning.
Absolutely.
How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes. So we have lots of news. There was a lot of news headlines this week, so we can start with those. What's going on in this market that we're in right now? We're in the second week of June.
Yep.
2025, in case you're watching this a couple years later.
We're halfway through the year already.
Yes, halfway through the year, and our market is not looking that great right now. I would definitely say it's sleeping.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of shifts happening, and I think outside of just Vegas, I think the whole country is seeing a trend. And one of them is that there is 500,000
more buyers.
Yeah.
Than sellers in the market. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. That number is backwards.
500,000 sellers.
More sellers than buyers in the market.
Yeah. So right now, there's a ton of homes on the market.
Yeah. And not a lot of buyer activity. Yeah, so right now we are really in the type of market where the only buyers that we're seeing that are actually active and motivated are the have-to-move buyers, the ones that have a reason, whether it's a job transfer, a family change in lifestyle or something, that have to move, not the want to move. So we are definitely, and I know we've mentioned it before, but I really just feel like this is coming down to the rates haven't moved.
Correct.
There's not much movement going on in the rate market, and the buyers are just giving up the hope that the rates are going to come down.
Yeah, and we'll circle back into those mortgage rates, but I guess that's the biggest gap they've seen since 2013. So right now, sellers are putting their homes on the market, and there's just no one really buying them. And I can attest to, in the last 2-3 weeks, a lot of my loan applications that have came in are just, people just aren't really qualifying, or it's just the affordability and what they're looking for, and then the price point are just not the same.
Yeah, and we're just not seeing that buyer motivation that we typically see, especially this time of year.
And I think the ones who are motivated, once they get the factual numbers, are just kind of, just not overly excited. And that kind of goes into my next part of the news, that this is, I guess, Las Vegas is number 27 on the affordability list, which I was even kind of surprised. I thought it would be one of the more expensive. But right now, the average buyer to get an average home in Las Vegas, which I assume is probably right around $480,000, $490,000. Considering an average home, has to make around $113,000 a year.
Yeah.
Or about $9,000, give or take, dollars a month just to qualify to get into something.
And
that's decent.
And that's substantial income. So
really
a lot of times with two households, that's not as, if you have two household incomes, that's not as hard to get to. But yeah, definitely. That's a substantial number, especially from where we've seen in the past.
Absolutely.
And the NAR chief had chimed in on what's going on right now with housing. So he had said that they had expected to see some recovery in housing by this time of the year this year. And then they came back with another statement that said that it's delayed. He does still say that the economists are predicting that we're going to start seeing this recovery towards the end of the year. So they're not saying that's not going to happen. It's still coming. So we're still waiting. So I just feel like we're in a very long waiting game right now with the housing market.
And I think that we all thought these rates were going to drop a lot sooner. And the feds meet again on June 17th, 18th. And I think you had heard something, but I read a bunch of different stuff yesterday. And right now, the rates just haven't really moved.
Yeah. But the CPI is where they wanted it to be.
Correct.
They wanted it at 2.5. It is at 2.4. So if they follow through with what they said they were going to do, we should see an adjustment in rates at this next meeting. But we'll just all be watching to see what happens.
That'll be in October. So I'll keep you guys updated. Right now, mortgage rates are exactly where they've been. You're looking at a national average of about a 6.8% on a 30-year conventional, about a 6.4 on an FHA-VA. There just hasn't been much movement at all.
Yeah, and another thing on this trend, so builders are feeling the impact of the market that we're in right now too. And a lot of builders are pausing their future projects. So over the last few years, because of the shortage of inventory, builders have been building like crazy to keep up with the demand from buyers. And now that this demand is definitely waning, builders are pausing the moving forward with a lot of the phases of their projects, because right now the homes that they're selling, which they're still selling homes, but they're with huge incentives, rate buy downs, and that cost per home from the builders, they're starting to feel the impact of it. And ideally that's not their best way of making these profitable.
And I think the trend right now is simply that there's just so many more homes on the market than people that are buying. And so we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be interesting the next few months. So hopefully in October, we'll see some rate drops and we can start getting some of these buyers into new homes.
Yep. Our single family homes on the market, 6631. Those are up 73 from last week. Condos and townhomes, 2491, which are up 30.
Absolutely. And then we have 1,062 new listings, which is 43 less than last week.
And then some price reductions at 1162, 60 less than last week, but there's still pretty strong numbers there.
And sold 746, which is 220 less.
Yep, that's a big jump. Big jump in less. And then under contract, those are only 73 less at 717. So we are certainly just seeing those numbers. They're not great numbers for a spring summer market. So we'll keep tracking it. After the break, what does a fake tomb and Liberace have in common? So we're going to get in this. This is the Lonnie Hammargren house here in Las Vegas, and stay tuned and we'll be talking about that one.
Every home has a story. What's yours? From your first home to your forever home, Trish Williams helps you write each chapter. Real estate is about the life you build. Hire Trish to be part of your story. Trish Williams, Keller Williams Realty. License S.01755530, call 702-308-2878. Start your next chapter today.
Welcome back, Vegas. So we're going to get into some historic Vegas real estate, and this is a very fun one. If you've been around this city for a while, you've probably seen this house, heard of it, maybe visited the museum. It's nicknamed the Castillo del Sol.
Sadly, I actually didn't hear about it until you started talking about it, and I would love to go see it one day. It sounds so interesting.
So it is now closed to the public. They were doing tours for quite some time. So let's talk about who is Lonnie Hammargren. He was a lieutenant. Sorry.
So he was a neurosurgeon.
Neurosurgeon.
And then also a flight surgeon. So I never heard of what that was. I actually looked it up because I was just that intrigued. Like, what is that? He actually used to take care of astronauts and their well-being, mental health, physical health at NASA.
Yes.
Which I thought was pretty interesting.
That is, I mean, gosh, he must have been an incredibly intelligent man. And yes, he was lieutenant governor here in the Valley from 1995 to 1999.
Nevada's 31st.
Yes. So this house was built in 1969. It has been expanded over the years. So it started with one house, and then he purchased another house next to it and built onto it. And this is over in the east side of the valley. So it's right between like East Las Vegas and kind of leading into Green Valley area. So it's two neighboring houses that had eventually over the years combined with it. And it created this big, it was at one point in time basically a museum. So it was open to the public for people to come do tours and look at this. And it was relics of a lot of Nevada history and just history in general.
I think I was watching, actually, I started watching videos. I think he collects things from all over the place, but I think primarily he has a lot of stuff from Nevada, which is great because he's, saving our history. And I think here there's been so much history and a lot of people haven't saved any artifacts or things like that. So I think it's just so interesting. And it says that his house, they do open it right around Halloween though.
Yeah, it's still currently?
Yeah, so it says that it's no longer open to the public, but he does do a Halloween Monster at the Manor.
Oh, okay.
And it's held annually. So right around Halloween, if you want to check it out, I don't know if you need an invite or you buy tickets, but that's when it's actually open now.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they were still doing it because I know he had sold the home, or actually it was foreclosed a few years back. So we'll get into that too. And so there is just getting into some of the features of the home. So when I was a kid, I used to, drive by, not drive by, ride by with my parents in the back of the car and seeing the back of it. There was this huge like roller coaster thing in the back. I was like, wow. I want to go there. I would go ride that roller coaster, but it wasn't an operating roller coaster that you could ride. So inside, the original home was designed to resemble a Mayan pyramid. So it had an observatory. It had a replica of Taj Mahal.
So cool.
It is so cool. So amazing. There's an Egyptian tomb.
I saw that. And it says that the basement is actually modeled after a chamber of ancient Egyptian tombs that's complete with a golden sarcophagus. And he wants to actually have his own burial there.
That is pretty amazing. And so there is some aviation memorabilia there. So the collection featured an Apollo spaceship. There's, so much. I mean, that's 12,000 square feet of home that's just filled with artifacts.
It literally says that Apollo space capsule is a full-size model of an international space station. And a replica, he has a whole replica of an atomic bomb. I'm sad. I might have to ask someone if they can get me in there to tour it.
Yeah.
We know someone that knows him. I know.
So there's also items that are included in there also have Liberace's staircase.
So there used to be, do you remember, wasn't there a Liberace's house here as well? Because I swear, there was a Liberace museum.
There was a museum. I believe that it got shut down as well.
I went there years ago when I was a kid. It was so cool.
Yeah.
So fascinating.
One of my biggest, I guess, troubles or things that I do not like about Vegas is we do have so many cool things in the city that get tore down and just forgotten about. And it's like nobody tries to preserve the history of them. And I feel like this is what Lonnie Hammargren was thinking when he started collecting these artifacts, is because a lot of things that from the casinos, from different eras in Las Vegas that he had were things that someone was basically going to throw out as trash.
Absolutely. And if you watch I did watch some of his videos, he can give you the exact, he has thousands and thousands of different things from large to very small little things that he's collected. And the amount of detail he gives on each item is amazing. His memory, the way he articulates the description of every little thing he's collected is it's just really incredible. I would just love to be around him to hear the history of all these artifacts. He also has, outside of the Liberace staircase, a Batmobile, and then the roller coaster actually came from the stratosphere.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that.
I did not know that. I remember seeing it when I was, younger, and just it's something that the house backs the street. I'm not sure exactly what street that if it's Pecos or Sand Hill or something over there, but the house backs it. So when you drive by, you can see over the backyard wall all of these things just out there, and as a child, it looked to me like a amusement park.
Yeah.
So
I want to drive by there.
Yeah. Well, it's actually, so today in
You can't see
today's
anything?
world, nothing's there. Things had everything got, so in 2017, he had lost the original. He lost the home to foreclosure. So apparently, the original home had been paid for, paid in full. And he took out financing on the attached homes, the other homes that he eventually had attached to them, and some hardships arose, and he had lost the home in a foreclosure. It sold in foreclosure in October of. Sorry, I lost my notes here. But it sold in foreclosure for about $450,000, $449,85 in 2017 October.
Oh, that's sad. I know. I mean, I wonder what he did with all of his things, because it also says that he had a full Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton.
Yes.
And then it said the estate also showcased a spirit house. And a model of the Stonehenge, a ceiling replica of the
Sistine Chapel. Yes, a ceiling replica of the Sistine Chapel. I remember seeing that as well. So it be right before the foreclosure. Prior to that, they did do auctions and liquidate a bunch of things. So it was there was quite a big sale going on. The new owners, as far as I know, the new owners do not have the home open to the public or on display anymore. I'm not sure, what they're doing to it, or if they've done renovations to it or anything. I don't really have any data on that. Disadvantages. So this home was very controversial. It had become very controversial to the neighbors in the community. And for the reasons of it was considered, it's very distracting and a bit of an eyesore. This wasn't, it wasn't a home. It was right at the front of the community. So, I mean, while it was super cool and super, historic Vegas, a lot of history going on there.
Of people just driving by
to sightsee, and it was an eyesore. I mean, it's just, imagine having that as the home next door to you, and you're selling your home, across the street. It does.
I can see that.
Yeah, it does become a factor, and it's like having a commercial building almost with the traffic and the people that are coming to sightsee. It's like having a commercial building inside your residential neighborhood. So there was a lot of, pushback from the neighbors, and there were also some neighbors that loved the idea, that thought it was super cool, thought it was pretty an awesome thing to have in the neighborhood. The Nevada Day open houses, obviously that brought a lot of traffic in the neighborhood. I could imagine cars lined up and down your street can be annoying to the neighbors, so that did,
I can see that.
That did cause a little bit of not so happy neighbors there. There was a rooftop edition of a life-size elephant. That could also be an eyesore in your neighborhood.
A little distracting.
A little distracting for a residential home, and a giant orange hand. That was on the exterior of the home. I don't know what this
What
hand
it represents.
what it was doing, but there was just this giant orange hand on the outside of the home.
He said he would get a bunch of calls, because when I was watching one of these videos, he said that he would actually get a bunch of calls from all these like art collectors and like, you know, antique collectors all around the world. They would call him and try to, you know, get him to see if he wanted to buy a lot of these things. So he said, you know, sometimes he would based on the cost, or sometimes he would tell them, you know, I can't right now. And then they would bring down the cost of all these artifacts. And that's how he started collecting even more and more and more. But it also said that he had, he does have a full size, you know, showboat. This was years and years ago. It was off Fremont and Boulder Highway. So I didn't know. I've never heard of it.
I went bowling there when I was a kid. They had a great bowling alley. Yes.
So I had to actually look it up, but I guess he has the entire showboat, the valet, the whole valet. He had that there, and then he also had a huge stage from there as well.
Wow. Well, there was this amazing, huge ship wheel in front of Showboat. So I wonder if that's one of the things he got from there.
I think it did look like that. It looked like that, and then there was a stage right behind it.
Yes.
So I know he had the full-size valet booth, and then he had the whole stage, and it did look like that was kind of in the picture of the stage. So I think it was in there as well.
Yeah,
really,
that's
really cool.
And you know, the I guess the confusing thing when I was looking through all of this, which again, you don't know what somebody's personal finances and things like that are looking like, but so the data on the internet, of course, says that they foreclosed the house in 2017 due to the second mortgages on the additional homes that came out to about $750,000 and just kind of got buried in debt. Some things, you know, personal things happen. But I have a hard time believing there wasn't at least $750,000 of artifacts that could have been liquidated to cover that debt. So that's such a shame that it did foreclose. And I mean, and the price that it resold for a 12,000 square foot estate is pretty incredible.
Because it says he had over 10,000 artifacts. And then a lot of them also, too, he had a bunch of like the Vegas monster stuff that was collected as well throughout the years. So I would have loved to have seen the house. I'm super sad I didn't get to see the house. I think it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Just to go through there, walk through there, learn some of the history. And I'm sure, how could you not learn so much?
Absolutely. Lonnie Hammargren, I keep on saying Hammargren, had passed away on June 13th of 2023. So he is no longer with us, but will always be remembered. And people that grew up here in the Valley or have been around the Valley for a while will never forget him. So want to know how to get in touch with us? Don't go away. We'll be right back.
And cut.
Every home has a story. What's yours? From your first home to your forever home, Trish Williams helps you write each chapter. Real estate is about the life you build. Hire Trish to be part of your story. Trish Williams, Keller Williams Realty. License S.0175530, call 702-308-2878. Start your next chapter today.
Well, thanks, guys, for watching our shows and staying tuned. Thank you for following us. If you are watching the show right now, you can find us here on Hey Vegas TV every week. That's heyvegastv.com if you're watching us on any other portals. You can check out our link tree at realtycheck.vegas. From the link tree, you can connect with us on socials, send us listener questions, feedback, anything, any way that you would like to communicate with us. That's a good spot to do it. And meanwhile, Courtney, how do people get in touch with you?
Reach out. I'm at Citywide Mortgage, 702-416-6918. Always happy to help.
And you can reach me at 308-2878. I am Trish Williams with Keller Williams Realty, and we look forward to seeing you guys return here each week. Please tell your friends about us and follow our show, and we'll see you next week, Vegas.